Greetings, Earthlings. I'm Planet Mitch. Guess you know that. Very common question. What are the right point settings for an upViral campaign to make it go viral? If I knew that exact answer, then I would be a millionaire by now. All right. Everybody is different. Every campaign is different. Your purposes for your campaign are different. But how do I typically set up a campaign for the points? And remember that points are basically entries. So we use the word entries and points synonymously, although what I try to do on the lead pages and share pages is to say entries, because points doesn't necessarily mean anything to anybody, unless you're doing most points wins, most entries wins. All right, so how do you go into upViral and set that up? And if I press the right buttons, it would work. So here's a campaign that I am currently setting up to go live soon. And this is my typical points setup. I typically do, you'll see 1 point for a direct sign up, 1 point for a referred sign up. So this is not how many points you're giving to somebody who signs up under me. So, well, let's use some names so it's clear. So if Joanne signs up to my campaign, she gets 1 point for signing up, 1 entry. If Joanne shares this on social media and Paula comes along and signs up, Paula gets 1 entry when she signs up. So don't be confused. This box is about the points given to Paula, not Joanne. So typically they're both together. They're both the same. And actually upViral has this button that says link them. So technically both of them should be 1. You really only, I think in almost every case, want somebody to get 1 entry for putting in their email address. Now, if you were going to want to incentivize people to get referrals, then that's where you come down to this box, points for each referred lead. That's where you want that to be higher. We have started using 20 points, 20 entries for every referred lead. So going back to our example, when Joanne signs up, she gets that 1 entry. When she shares her link and Paula signs up, Paula, I'm getting confused. When Paula signs up, she got that 1 point, but Joanne gets the 20 points for having referred Paula. Right? If I have that right. I've already gotten confused. I'm sorry. And so I think I did it backwards, didn't I? How embarrassing. Regardless, I think you get the point that whoever signed up the referral gets the 20 points. Now, I have seen a mistake happen in upViral group multiple times where people assign points for each referred visitor. Do not, in my book, I don't see any reward, any joy, any benefit to giving somebody. So let's go back to, say, it was Paula that signed up originally, right? And if Paula shares her social link and 50 people show up, if this is set to 1 point, then Paula is going to get 50 points. 50 entries for people just looking at the lead page. They could go away, they could not do anything, they could take no action, but yet if you put something in here, if you put 1 point in here, then you are rewarding those visits. Those are only views of the lead page. If you set up your rewards, for example, and I've seen people do this where they say, well, let me have 25 referrals or 25 points to gain a reward. If there are a whole bunch of people coming in and they get 1 point for each view, then they're going to earn that reward without actually referring anybody. So my advice is to make this box 0. Big, 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 big 0. And don't be confused by that. Visitors don't count for anything. Now, if you're doing a campaign for a client and they want their product to be seen, well, maybe there is some value in that. But I don't see how that actually gets anybody to really do a whole lot unless they go post the campaign somewhere and say, hey, come visit this page. And it's getting a little bit of visibility, but I don't feel like that's the right way to reward people. Now, points for social interaction. The big question here, because some people realize that in any of the viral contest software tools, there are not APIs for Facebook where Facebook can feed the information back if somebody actually shares. So if you're on a share screen and somebody clicks the Facebook link, it pops up and shows them the Facebook share thing. And if they do cancel, they get the points anyway. So the question is in the group always, well, do you put any points in here? Do you reward people at all for doing social sharing? My take on it, which is different than other people's take on it, is that since this only happens one time, they can only earn these points today. And hopefully that changes in the future because there is a feature request to get upViral to be able to do daily points. But that's a whole nother topic. Right now, if they share on Facebook, they can only earn those points one time. They can't go in there and just game the system and keep pretending to share and rack up a whole bunch of points to earn your rewards. So in this case, what I do is I give them some value for social sharing because we want to incentivize people to social share. Can people cheat and not actually do the share? Heck yes. But there are many people that don't ever frickin' realize that those points come whether they share it or not. So, hey, let's incentivize them to share. Let's take people at their honest, upfront value. For example, the recent campaign that I did that had a whole lot of cheating in it, my end analysis was that 10% of the people cheated. Well, that means that 90% of the people are doing the right thing, right? And so let's try, in my view of the world, I want to trust people. It's not that big a deal for you to offer these points. Now, so in this current situation, if I give everybody 3 points, and they do all of these actions, that's 3, 6, 9, right? 18, 21 points that they could earn, possibly. Now, again, WhatsApp and Messenger only show up on the smartphone, so technically somebody from the desktop can't even earn those points. So, what about your rewards? Now, this particular campaign doesn't have any rewards, but if I were trying to incentivize somebody to earn a reward, then I certainly would not set the points to 22, right? So they get the 1 point for entering themselves, and then the 3 points times all the things is 21. So 22, or let's make it 23. That at least puts them over the threshold of the social sharing. So they have to do at least one other action or get one other person to sign up. And that's where the gold is, because you're getting those referrals. We all typically want the referral side of things. So set this at least high enough. And often what I do is, let's say I want 5 actual referrals. I want 5 people to come in. What I do is I set this at 101 because I have the 20 points for each referred lead and the 1 point for the entry in the first place. So it's 5 times 20 plus 1. So if they get to 101, then they earn the reward. Now, obviously, they could have done the social sharing, so some people will be over 101. I could just set it to 100, whatever. It's close enough that people will earn that. The only way they'll earn that is by doing the referrals. Now, things are going to get a little messy coming up in the future. And right now we can't do anything about it, but we can be excited in that what is being added to upViral is custom events. And if I go back to the points, they will be in the point system. So there will be custom events that you can add, and therefore people will earn additional entries for those custom events, and therefore the rewards, again, is purely based on points, total number of entries. And so if you give somebody 500 entries, for example, for buying your product, then, these are not clearly delineated by specific events. Unfortunately, right now, today, and I hope that eventually this changes in the future, but if your goal was to get 5 people referred, like I was saying before, the 20 points times 5 gets you to the 100. If you add a custom action where if they buy something, like I said, for 500 points, then there isn't a distinction between custom action points and referrals. And so it gets really virtually messy in order to come up with the right number of points to incentivize referrals. I'm hoping that eventually in the future that we're able to separate rewards to say, all right, set this reward up for 5 people joining the campaign. Or set this up so that when they do this specific custom action, they earn this particular reward. That makes a lot more sense, but of course that means more programming on the back end, and Wildco and the team have done a great job of implementing stuff so far. So just to be able to get the custom actions is going to be great, but I can see that there's some potential for enhancement in the future for targeted kinds of rewards. And we'll have to see if we can ask for that and whether that becomes a feature or not.